And each time I would call him or visit him at home, he would always say to me, don't worry, Nankasidule more forever. I'll go back to my faith and so I think he was a courageous man, you know. And another thing, when I heard of his death, it touched me as if, you know, he's my own blood. I see a lot of qualities of his death similar to my uncle, similarities. You know, the way it started, the way it ended. It brings a lot of memories of pain in me. But nevertheless, to the Mabuye family and to the fellow mourners present here today, we have gathered here today to pay our final respects to one of our own, Mr. Pule Mabuye. On Tuesday the 18th, we woke up to the news that Mr. Pule Mabuye had left us. And since then, we've carried a heavy burden of grief in our hearts. As a school, our souls have refused, like Mr. Mashume has said, to be still. Our spirits have sunk under the unbearable weight of unexpected, numbing shock. We are filled with silent tears of despair, the tears which have watered our cheeks. 10 days, more or less, have gone by since his passing on. But since then, nothing has happened to dull the pain. Mr. Mabuye's death brought so much pain, like I said, amongst educators and students who worked with him. Had we seen signs that sooner or later we would lose him, we would have questioned our loss or wondered at his departure. Death has struck so suddenly, without warning. Death has struck so suddenly, without giving any warning. With a mystery of a flash of a lightning, without any notice, death has taken away from us an apple of our own liking, an apple of our eye. But as the English poet that we really know, John Donne, wrote in his memory of his beloved lady, we too should raise our voice and say, death, be not proud. Thy hand gave not the blow. Death, be not proud. Thy hand gave not the blow. The executor of wrath thou art. The executor of wrath thou art. We therefore celebrate Mr. Mabuye's life because we were blessed with a rare gift, a genuine friend, a colleague, an activist, and a leader. We will miss his world of humor, his world of joy, and of course, a man who lived life to the fullest. Those who know him will agree with this. As colleagues, we will remember him as a peaceful man. We will remember him for the love that he has shown for his little ones, in particular, the grade 8 little kids. We will remember him for his remarkable help for the Setswana department, in which at times he would forget and neglect his own responsibility. That was our friend, Mr. Mabuye, for you. I personally will remember him for his humility. I will also remember him for his self-confidence, as he would often say, Umangwe. Or he would confidently say, "Ake khathali." As we are gathered here today, some amongst us have been very harsh and hard on Mr. Pule Mabue, on how he lived his life. But those of us who had the privilege to experience his comradeship, the comradeship of Mr. Pule Mabue, those of us who had the privilege to experience his hopes, those of us who had the privilege to experience his disappointments, those of us who had the privilege to experience his successes, those of us who had the privilege to experience his failures will walk a different road. We will recall the millions of tiny little things that Mr. Pule Mabue did that defined him as our friend, that defined him as our comrade, that defined him as our colleague. Today, we will write a biography in our hearts and in our minds. We will tell a story of a man of courage who refused to die in that stool. It will inform you all that Pule Mabue was only human like you and I. That Pule Mabue was only human like you and I. Because Pule Mabue was human, he could laugh and he could cry. Because Pule Mabue was human, he could rejoice and he could despair. Because Pule Mabue was human, he could work and he could play. Because Pule Mabue was human, he could laugh and he could hate. Because Pule Mabue was human, he could love life and accept that the greatest price to pay is death. We mourn the fact that our captain could not have stayed with us longer to see his own children grow a little longer. Today, we borrow from the words of an American poet, Walt Whitman, and call out on our dear captain, Mr. Pule Mabue. Oh captain, my captain, our fearful trip is done. The trip, which is fearful, is indeed done. Farewell to you, Captain Pule. To the Mabue family, we know the pain you bear today is unbearable. But in the words of my favorite Nigerian poet, Ben Okri, he says, to you, Daddy, I met you in the hospital. To you, young ones and Mama, each time I'm in pain, I always read these words by Ben Okri in one of his poems. He says, we are the miracles that God made to taste. We are the miracles that God made to taste the bitter fruit of time. We are precious. One day, our suffering will turn into the wonders of the earth. May God help you through these trying times. I thank you.